Hey there, and welcome to Family Revenge. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay with us for every twist and turn. Let's jump right in. I pulled into the gravel lot behind the diner with the engine idling. My duffel bag was still in the trunk, but my hands were already full, my aunt's frail weight pressed against my chest like dead weight wrapped in bones. Her cheek was cold against my collarbone. The wind cut through my jacket. I shifted my feet and adjusted my grip so she wouldn't slip. Her cardigan was soaked at the hem from the frozen grass out back. Inside, the diner lights glowed golden through the windows. Laughter spilled out like it had somewhere to be. I heard my dad's booming voice rise over the others, followed by my cousin's sharp little laugh, then my mom's sing-song, "Well, I said shrimp, but he wanted prime rib. You know how he is." That fake friendly tone she used whenever she was trying to impress people. Through the cracked window pane near the front, I could see the whole damn party. Warmth, champagne flutes, a stupid Happy New Year banner half hanging from the ceiling. Every single one of them was dressed like they were in a catalog. I spotted my brother near the buffet table, stuffing his face. My sister clinking glasses with some guy I didn't know. All of them glowing with comfort and wine and heat. Not one of them knew, or cared, where Aunt Linda was. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? They'd set her out behind the building like trash. I'd found her in a busted lawn chair beside the dumpster, curled into herself, mumbling about how the stars looked pretty tonight. Her slippers were soaked through, her fingers stiff. She still smiled when she saw me, like I'd shown up with a gift. I didn't knock. I walked up to the front door with her in my arms, stomped my boots twice on the mat, and pushed it open hard enough for the little bell to slam against the glass. Heads turned, conversations stopped. I stepped inside and let the door swing shut behind me. My dad's laugh died first. My mother's mouth froze mid-word. Champagne tilted in someone's hand but didn't spill. My brother looked from me to her, blinking like it didn't register. I said 6 words, not loud, just clear. She was freezing. "What's your excuse?" "My name's Tyler. I'm 32 years old. I live in Springfield, Missouri." That night wasn't planned. Nothing about it was. I'd just gotten off a 12-hour shift at the station. My boots were soaked, my back ached, and the only thing waiting for me at home was a microwave dinner and some laundry I'd been ignoring for 3 days. But something kept pulling at me. I couldn't stop thinking about her. Aunt Linda. I hadn't seen her since Thanksgiving. She'd seemed off then, like a candle burning low, but no one else said a word. My parents acted like she was some decoration in the corner. My brother barely even looked at her. So when my coworkers started handing out cheap party hats and telling me to get lost, I figured, screw it. Maybe she'd want company. I didn't tell anyone I was going. I parked a block away from the house so they wouldn't hear the brakes squeal like they always did on my old Civic. I killed the lights and walked the rest of the way through half-shoveled sidewalks and patches of ice. My breath fogged in the air. Cold bit through my uniform. But I was excited. Thought I'd show up, knock on the door, maybe share some cocoa. Catch up like we used to. I never made it to the front door. As I rounded the back corner of the house, I caught a shape in the dark. Hunched low, almost folded in half, like she'd melted into the lawn chair. No blanket, no scarf. Just a thin gray cardigan clinging to her shoulders, fluttering in the wind like a flag. "Aunt Linda?" I said, stepping closer. She turned her head slowly like it took effort. I dropped to one knee beside her. "What the hell are you doing out here?" "Looking at the stars," she whispered. Her lips were blue. "Pretty tonight." Her hands were shaking so bad, she couldn't hold the chipped coffee mug resting in her lap. It was empty anyway. Jesus. I pulled off my jacket and wrapped it around her. Her body barely registered through it, just skin and bone. I checked her feet. Soaked. No socks. "How long you been out here?" She smiled up at me like I'd brought her a birthday cake. "A while, I think." I didn't even try the back door. I knew it'd be locked. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, and scanned the area. No one around, no footprints, no signs anyone had checked on her. "You eaten?" I asked. She shook her head, then changed her mind and nodded. "I had toast." "When?" She blinked. "Tuesday." It was Friday. I stood up. My hands clenched so tight my knuckles cracked. I wanted to march inside and drag every last one of them out by their collars. Instead, I took a breath and bent back down. "All right, we're getting out of here." "Oh no," she said softly, lifting one frail hand. "They'll be mad." "They can go to hell." She smiled again, tired, like she didn't believe I meant it. I slid one arm under her knees, the other behind her back, and lifted her up. She let out a tiny gasp but didn't fight it. Just rested her head against my shoulder, like she used to when I was a kid and got sick. I carried her across the yard, through the side gate, and down the street to my car. I didn't care who saw us. My boots crushed the frozen leaves like glass. Every step made my blood boil hotter. When I got to the car, I set her down gently in the passenger seat and cranked the heat. She looked around like she was in a dream. "You okay?" I asked, checking the seatbelt. She nodded. "It's warm." I looked back at that glowing house, warm, loud, packed with food and people and lights, and felt something snap in my chest. They had all that, and they left her to freeze behind a damn kitchen. I got in, put the car in drive, and said, "We're going to the diner." She smiled again, soft but real this time. "I'd like that." We didn't stop at the diner. I saw the warm light pouring out the front windows, heard the music thumping from inside, and felt her fingers curl weakly around my sleeve. Her lips were moving, but no sound came out. She looked confused, like she didn't understand why I wasn't dropping her off at the back door. I made a U-turn and drove straight to the house. Their house, the one I grew up in, the one they were partying in. I pulled up at the curb and killed the engine. All the windows were lit. Some open, some fogged up from the heat. Laughter bled through the walls like bad insulation. I stepped out, rounded the car, opened the passenger side, and lifted Aunt Linda back into my arms. She didn't say a word. Her head lolled against my chest like she was already asleep. The front walk was salted and cleared, spotless, no excuse. The door had a shiny new wreath. The porch light was warm, welcoming, fake as the people inside. I knocked once, then again, louder. I could hear feet moving. The music lowered just a notch. Then came the sound of the deadbolt sliding. The door cracked open half an inch, and there she was, my mother, in pearls and lipstick, holding a wine glass. Her face dropped when she saw me, then immediately rearranged itself into a look of mock concern. "Tyler? What are you— Oh, what's going on? Is that Linda?" "She needs help," I said flat. Mom leaned in a little. "She said she wanted to be outside." For air, my blood hit the boiling point. Before I could answer, my dad appeared behind her in a new sweater and a drink in hand. "What's with the attitude? Can't you knock like a normal person?" I didn't answer. I stepped back and kicked the door open with my shoulder. The hinges screamed. The edge slammed into the wall so hard a picture frame rattled and fell. My mom yelped. Dad stepped forward like he was about to say something, but I was already through the doorway. The heat hit me like a furnace. Champagne bubbles, perfume, and fried appetizers filled the air. Fake warmth everywhere. A roaring fire crackled in the living room. The TV was showing the New Year's countdown. No one noticed us at first. Then, one by one, they did. My brother's mouth was full of shrimp. My sister froze mid-toast. Some cousin I barely recognized whispered, "Is that Linda?" I kept walking, straight down the hall. Mom tried to grab my arm, but I shrugged her off. "Don't you touch her," I snapped. "She wanted to be outside," she hissed, her voice sharper now. "She said she needed space." "She said that in 30-degree weather?" "She had a coat." "No," I growled. "She had a cardigan." Dad's voice thundered from behind. "You do not storm into this house like—" I spun on him. "Like what?" "Like someone who gives a damn?" The room went dead quiet. I shifted Aunt Linda in my arms and looked around. "You've got enough food for 20 people. You're pouring champagne like it's water." That back gate was frozen shut. There's no footprints, no tracks, nothing to show anyone checked on her. She couldn't even stand on her own. Mom shook her head, trying to smooth her hair like that would fix things. "This isn't the time, Tyler. We have guests. I don't care." "She's fine." She was freezing. I kept walking toward the living room, toward the fireplace, toward that damn couch she wasn't invited to sit on. I stood dead center in front of everyone and raised my voice without yelling. "You left her outside behind the house while you celebrated in here like she didn't exist." "She didn't want to come in," my sister shouted. I turned and glared. "Did you ask her? Or did you just let her disappear because she doesn't match the damn color scheme?" No one spoke. I looked down at Aunt Linda. Her eyes were closed, not asleep, just done. I turned back toward the door. "I'm taking her somewhere warm. If anyone here's got a problem with that, say it now." Not a sound. Not even from Dad. I walked out the way I came in. Didn't bother to close the door behind me. I didn't stop at the door. I turned back around and carried her straight into the living room like I owned the place. The fire was crackling. Stockings were still hung in perfect order, names stitched at the top in red thread like a catalog photo. Plates with shrimp tails, champagne flutes still sweating, someone's phone buzzing on the side table, but no sign of her. No extra chair, no plate for her, no cardigan on a hook, no slippers near the fire. Just silence now, and a room full of faces pretending they didn't know what the hell they were looking at. I set Aunt Linda gently on the couch closest to the fire. She flinched at first like she wasn't sure she was allowed to sit there. I stood up, let my jacket fall open, let my badge hang in plain sight. Then I said 6 words. Calm, clear, no room for confusion. She was freezing. Reports already filed. My brother's smirk died right off his face. My mom's hand flew to her chest, clutching those pearls like she was seconds from fainting. My dad didn't move. I took 1 step forward and looked around at each of them. You want to know what I saw tonight? A woman barely weighing 100 pounds, parked out back like garbage, trying to warm her hands on an empty coffee cup. Mom's eyes welled up. Tyler, don't. I pointed at her. Don't you dare try to spin this. Dad opened his mouth. I raised my hand and cut him off. You want facts? Let's do facts. I've been sending you money every month. Direct deposit, notes in the memo line. For Linda's care, right? Not for granite countertops, not for another cruise. Not for your son's 3rd flat-screen TV. My brother scoffed and looked away. You think I wouldn't find out? I shot at him. I checked the bank statements. I saw the dates. Linda's name hasn't shown up in a purchase in over 6 months. You didn't buy her food. You didn't pay for meds. You didn't even get her a damn coat. My sister finally stood. That's not fair. We didn't know she was out there that long. You shouldn't have left her alone at all. She said she wanted to go outside. I stepped toward her. Then you go with her. You get a blanket. You bring her back in. You check on her every 10 minutes. That's what care looks like. What you did? That's neglect? Mom finally found her voice. You're being dramatic. It was just a mistake. No. It was a choice. I turned to the guests now, the ones still standing there pretending to sip their drinks. Like maybe if they looked busy, I'd ignore them. Every person in this room walked past her door and didn't bother to ask where she was. You were all too busy planning your stupid toast. Dad got loud then. We didn't know she was out there. You're blowing this out of proportion. She could have died tonight. That shut him up. She was hypothermic. She's dehydrated. Her blood pressure is tanking. And you? You're standing here worried about your hardwood floors. Mom moved to speak again, but this time I didn't stop. You had every chance to ask for help. Every time I called, you said things were fine. You told me not to worry. Meanwhile, she's wasting away while you're out here throwing parties. I looked at each of them again. My dad, my mom, my sister, my brother. The perfect family picture with a rotting frame. I'm done asking. I filed the report before I ever knocked on the door. Adult Protective Services is already on it. There'll be interviews, paperwork, financial audits, medical exams, and this, I pointed around the room, is all going to be part of the record. You'd do this to your own family? My sister whispered. No, you did this to your family, I said. I'm just making sure it doesn't happen again. Aunt Linda stirred behind me. I turned. She blinked slow and reached for the mug someone had left on the coffee table. My mom jumped forward like she suddenly cared, but I blocked her path with my arm. She's fine, I said. She doesn't need you. Then I looked back at my father. You want to yell? Save it for the lawyer. I helped Aunt Linda sit back fully, check that the fire wasn't too hot on her legs, then turned to leave. No one followed. Not one damn word. I made it to the front door before my brother's voice followed me. Jesus, man. It was one night I stopped cold, turned around, still holding the door handle. One night? I said, walking back into the living room. That's your defense? He shrugged and gave that half smile he always used when he was cornered. I mean, come on, she's not some abused shelter dog. She's an old lady who wanted to sit outside. She was shivering so hard she couldn't talk. My mother stepped in fast, trying to smooth it all down like she always did. Tyler, honey, don't make this into something it's not. I ignored her and pointed straight at my brother. You ever seen a body lock up from cold? You ever watch someone seize from hypothermia? Because I have. It doesn't take a blizzard. It just takes people who don't give a damn. He rolled his eyes. All right, here we go. Shut up, Ryan. His jaw tightened. He looked at Dad like he expected backup. Dad stepped forward. You don't talk to your brother like that in my house. This, I said, sweeping my arm at the scene behind me, isn't a house. It's a polished up crime scene, he puffed up. You think you're some kind of hero because you've got a badge now? You're not better than the rest of us. I stepped in close, close enough that I could smell the bourbon on his breath. No, I'm not better. I'm just not blind. Mom's voice cracked. Tyler, please, can we just calm down? You want calm? I said. Calm is what you lost when you left her out there. Calm is what I gave up when I saw frost on her skin. My sister spoke up next, her voice shaky. But she didn't say anything. She never asked for stuff. She shouldn't have to. That's the point. That's what makes it neglect. Ryan laughed under his breath. You're really going to try to arrest your own family over this? I pulled out my phone, opened the file, and turned the screen toward them. I already filed the APS report, Statute 570.145. Know what that is? No one answered. Elder neglect, I said. A person commits the offense when they knowingly act in a manner likely to be detrimental to the well-being of someone 60 or older. That includes failure to provide adequate care, shelter, medical attention, food. Mom's hand trembled. But we didn't mean, it doesn't matter what you meant. The law doesn't care about intention. It cares about impact. And the impact is that you left an elderly woman outside in below freezing temps, with no food, no coat, and no one checking on her. Dad's fists clenched. You'd really turn us in? Your own blood? You're not the blood I swore to protect. The room went dead still. My heart pounded, but I didn't flinch. You think just because we're family, I'll look the other way? I took an oath, and that means something to me, even if it never meant a damn thing to any of you. My sister started crying then. Big, ugly sobs, like someone had flipped a switch. I didn't know it was this serious. I thought she was fine. She was dying, Rachel, I snapped. She just hides it better than you. I looked back at my mom. Her mascara was smudging. Her mouth kept opening and closing, like she was trying to come up with an excuse that would make this all okay again. There wasn't one. I know you think I'm being harsh, I said, stepping back toward the door. But I've seen real abuse. I've seen bruises, broken bones, rotting teeth. This, what you did, fits the pattern. Just with prettier wallpaper, nobody argued after that. Not a word. I walked out, closed the door behind me, and didn't look back. I carried Aunt Linda back to the car, her head tucked into my neck like a child, her breath light and uneven. The porch light from the house still spilled out behind us, but I didn't turn around, not once. I opened the back door of the cruiser, gently slid her in, and wrapped a spare blanket from the trunk around her legs. She looked up at me, half asleep. You're not mad, are you? I didn't answer, just shut the door and got in. The drive to the station was quiet. She didn't speak, just stared out the window like she was watching her whole life shrink in the rear view. I kept my hand on the wheel and my eyes forward, jaw tight. I wasn't mad. I was done. We pulled into the lot, and I parked around the side where it was quieter. The back entrance buzzed open when I swiped my keycard, and I carried her inside down the hall, straight into the break room. Fluorescent lights, a microwave humming, a folding table with someone's half-eaten sandwich still on it. It wasn't much, but it was clean. It was warm. She blinked at the room like it was the damn Ritz. Is this for me? She whispered. I nodded. Yeah. Sit tight, Officer Hayes was coming off a call, peeling off his vest when he saw us. That your aunt? I nodded. He looked at her, then at me. You want me to get her something? Hot cocoa if we got it. He disappeared. A minute later, he came back with a paper cup and a handful of sugar packets. Didn't know how sweet she takes it. Aunt Linda took the cup with both hands like it was fine china. This is lovely, she said, almost embarrassed. Hayes smiled and gave me a pat on the shoulder. She's safe now. Ruiz showed up 5 minutes later, clipboard in hand. You sure you want to make it official? I didn't flinch. Yeah. You already filed the online intake. This makes it formal. He pulled out his laptop and set it on the counter next to the fridge. All right, let's get started. I stood while he typed, answered questions, timeline, witnesses, health status, prior complaints, financial concerns, the works. He asked if I wanted to include names. I gave him all of them. The keys clacked. The fan on the laptop kicked up. Aunt Linda sipped cocoa like nothing was happening. Her eyes never left the tiny Christmas wreath stuck to the vending machine with tape. It was surreal. This woman who had given me birthday cards with $20 bills in them when my own parents forgot, now wrapped in a station blanket like a Jane Doe, sitting under fluorescent lights while the law caught up. When Ruiz asked if I wanted to mark the case for priority review, I didn't even blink. Yes, he kept typing, kept going. And that sound, the sound of fingers pounding through red tape and liability disclaimers, it never sounded more like justice. Not a gavel, not a courtroom. Just that. Click, click, click. After the forms were done, Ruiz nodded. We'll call APS first thing. You want to be listed as her emergency contact? I looked at Aunt Linda. She smiled, cocoa halfway to her lips. Yeah, I said. List me first. Only one that matters. We were still in the break room when my phone lit up. MOMMOBILE. I watched it buzz once, twice, let it ring, let it die. 30 seconds later, it rang again. This time, DADHOME. I picked up. Tyler, he said. No yelling now. His voice was too calm, too forced. We need to talk. Not sure what's left to say. He exhaled like I was the one being difficult. I think we got off track. Everybody was emotional. It's New Year's Eve. Things got out of hand. Maybe we all said things we didn't mean. No, I said. I meant every word. You're blowing this up. This could ruin us. Then maybe you shouldn't have let her rot in the backyard. Silence, then a shuffling sound. I knew what that meant. He was handing the phone off. Tyler? My mom's voice was already breaking. Please, you don't understand what this will do to our reputation, to your father's business, to us. I do, I said. That's why I filed it. She sniffled. It was one bad night. That's all. It was 6 months of bad nights. I just caught one. I didn't know she was that cold, she whispered. You didn't know because you didn't look. The line went quiet again. Then Rachel's voice came through, sharp and panicked. Tyler, they're freaking out. Dad's saying he could lose the house. Mom won't stop crying. You have to fix this. Not my job to fix what they broke. She's fine now, isn't she? So can't we just stop this? No? You really want APS dragging us through an investigation? Absolutely, I hung up. A few minutes passed. Then the text started coming. From Ryan. Bro, are you serious right now? You're really gonna nuke the family over this? You act like we beat her with a belt or something. You think this makes you a hero? It just makes you pathetic I didn't respond. I sat with Aunt Linda while she finished her cocoa, turned the station blanket in her lap over twice, then folded it perfectly, like she was still trying not to inconvenience anybody. My phone rang again. Same number. I picked up. This time, Dad didn't even try to play it cool. You want to embarrass us? You already did it. Fine. But don't think this ends with your little paperwork stunt. You think we won't fight it? You think you're smarter than everyone just because you've got some badge? I don't need to be smarter, I said. I just need to tell the truth. We're family, Tyler. Blood. You use that word like a shield. I'm using it like a charge. You're gonna regret this. No, I said. You are. Mom grabbed the phone again. Tyler, please. We didn't mean for any of this to happen, but it did happen. We love her. No, you love the image of yourselves as good people. She just doesn't fit in it anymore. A beat of silence. She's your sister, I added. I know. She deserved better. I know. Well, it's too late now. I ended the call, tossed the phone down next to the empty cocoa cup. Aunt Linda looked up at me, her eyes gentle but sad. They didn't mean harm, you know. I know. But they did it anyway. Yeah? She leaned her head back against the chair and closed her eyes. Outside, fireworks started popping off early. I could hear the distant echo of cheap explosions across town. But inside the break room, it stayed quiet, warm, safe, exactly how it should have been from the start. It was just past 2 a.m. when I heard the glass doors buzz at the front of the station. I didn't even need to look up. I already knew. Footsteps shuffled down the hallway. Too many, too fast, too loud for the time of night. I sat in the break room with Aunt Linda still beside me, her hands folded in her lap, that damn paper cup empty and turning soft at the rim. Then they showed up. My father stormed in first, still wearing his flannel pajama pants and an undershirt, boots half-laced, face flushed with rage. My brother came in behind him, grinning like this was some inside joke, like we were all on a hidden camera show, and he just couldn't wait to get to the punchline. Rachel trailed last, still crying. Eyes red, hair a mess, arms wrapped around herself like she'd been dragged out of bed by a fire alarm. I didn't move. Tyler, my dad barked. This stops now. I looked at him, silent. We're gonna go in that office, he said, jabbing his finger toward the duty room, and you're gonna unfile whatever the hell you filed. We handle this as a family. I stood up slowly. You don't get to bark orders in here, my brother laughed. Come on, man. We all lost our heads. You're really gonna send Mom to jail for putting the thermostat too low? She wasn't cold, Rachel blurted out between sobs. She was just confused. She does that sometimes. Aunt Linda looked down, not in shame, just tired. I kept my voice steady. None of you are here because of a mistake. You're here because you're cowards. Watch it, Dad snapped. No, I said, stepping closer. You watch it. You're standing in a police station trying to strong-arm your way out of a legal report, like this is still your living room. That doesn't fly here? You're making this bigger than it needs to be? She was out there freezing, and none of you cared. We did care, Rachel cried. We didn't know it was that serious. That's the point, I shouted. You didn't know because you didn't check, because checking on her would have ruined your little party. My mom slipped in behind them, finally catching up. Her makeup was smudged, her face pale. Tyler, I know you're angry, but we're family. We can work through this. You had years to work through it. I felt Aunt Linda shift beside me. Her voice was quiet but clear. Enough. We all turned. She stood up slowly, tugged her cardigan around her shoulders, and stepped between us like it was her job to clean up the mess. They came. That's something not enough, I said. I know, she replied, calm. But it's something. Mom stepped forward. Linda, I'm sorry. I truly am. We weren't thinking. Linda nodded. I know, Dad grunted. We can fix this. Linda looked at him for a long time. Some things don't need fixing. Just acknowledgement, Ryan mumbled. So what now? I forgive you, she said softly. I blinked. No, I said. They don't deserve that. She looked at me, steady. Forgiveness isn't about deserving. It's about what we choose to carry. I shook my head. You carried them for decades. What more do you have to carry? She smiled, small and sad. I'd rather carry peace than anger. That's not justice. No, she said. It's not. But justice isn't mine to give. It's yours. My fists clenched at my sides. I didn't know what to say. My family stood there, stunned. No more excuses, no more shouting, just the weight of what they'd done sitting heavy in the air. I looked back at her. She was already sitting again, sipping the last of her cold cocoa like it was fine wine. They didn't deserve her, but maybe she deserved to be done carrying pain. So I turned to them. The report stays. Nobody argued. The next morning, APS rolled in just after 8. 2 agents, clipboards, badges, gloves. One had a portable scanner for documents. The other carried a sealed tote full of intake packets and medical release forms. They didn't waste time. No hugs, no warm greetings, just business. We sat in interview room 2. Aunt Linda, wrapped in a clean station hoodie now, held her hands neatly folded in her lap. I sat beside her. She didn't look nervous, just tired, calm, like she'd finally stopped bracing for impact. Did they deny you food or water at any time in the last 3 months? One agent asked. No, she said. They just forgot I was there. Did you request medical attention and not receive it? I didn't ask, she replied. But they didn't offer. They went through it all. Timeline, money, prescriptions, physical condition, emotional state. Did she feel threatened? Did she fear retaliation? She answered every question with grace, like she didn't want to make anyone look bad, even now, like she thought they were still redeemable. After 2 hours, the agents stepped out to make calls. I could hear them down the hallway talking in low voices. The word neglect came up more than once. So did financial misuse. When they asked to see receipts, I handed over the folder I'd built over the last year. Every deposit, every canceled check. The agents didn't look surprised. They just nodded. Back on their street, the fallout started fast. The next door neighbor, the one with the golden retriever and the perfect lawn, didn't wave when Dad stepped outside to get the mail. The folks across the street moved their New Year's decorations inside early. Rachel's friend from the PTA dropped her from the group chat. My brother's social feed went dead quiet. No one knocked, no casseroles, just long stares from windows and side eyes at the store. Shame's got a way of clinging tighter than handcuffs. And honestly, it was enough. I didn't press criminal charges. I didn't push for jail time. A PS would follow up with mandatory checks. A financial audit was already underway. Civil penalties were coming, but I didn't need to ruin them. They were doing that all on their own. Back at the station, Aunt Linda was different. She laughed. Not the forced kind either. The real deal. Deep belly laughs over greasy takeout from Chen's kitchen. She teased Officer Hayes about his too-tight vest, told Ruiz his handwriting looked like chicken scratch. She even joked with Dispatch about stealing someone's chair and never giving it back. She looked alive. Color in her face. Spark in her eyes. At one point, she leaned over to me and said, "I feel like I'm in a movie." "You're the star," I told her. She grinned. "Hope it's a comedy." "Dark comedy," I said. But yeah. That night, I found her curled up on one of the station cots, blanket tucked under her chin, sleep coming easy. It hit me then. When was the last time she'd really rested? Not just passed out, not just shut down, but actually felt safe enough to close her eyes? I didn't have the answer. But I knew one thing. That silence she used to carry around, the kind that made her easy to ignore, was gone. She'd been heard now, and that mattered more than any court date ever could. On New Year's Day, I signed the shift over to Ruiz and packed up the station cot with fresh sheets. Aunt Linda was still asleep when I eased her coat around her shoulders. She stirred just a little as I buckled her into the passenger seat of my Civic, but didn't say a word. Her hands were cold, still thinner than they should have been, but they weren't shaking anymore. The sky was gray. Snow flurries caught in the wipers every few seconds. I kept the heat blasting toward her feet. She slept most of the drive, head tilted gently against the window. No tension in her neck, no bracing, just rest. My place isn't much. 2-bedroom rental, wood paneling, the kind of carpet that's been vacuumed 1,000 times but still looks tired. But it's mine, and it's honest. No pretending, no secrets hiding behind glass cabinets or fake smiles. I carried her inside. She looked around slow, blinking like she wasn't sure if this was real. "This your house?" she asked, voice raspy. "Yeah," I said. "It's home now." For both of us, her eyes watered, but she didn't cry. Just nodded once, like she'd been waiting for this answer her whole life. The bedroom was already set up. Fresh sheets, a space heater, the quilt I used to take to camp when I was a kid. I helped her into bed, pulled the blanket over her legs, and sat down in the chair beside her. "You need anything?" "No," she whispered. "I've got everything I need." Outside, snow started falling harder. The streetlight buzzed through the front window. Inside, it was quiet. Not the kind of silence we'd lived through at my parents' place. This was peace. Warm peace. Earned peace. I watched her eyelids drift shut, slow and steady. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to brace for anything either. She was safe now, and this time, it wasn't a report. It was a promise.